What is up, everybody? Back with a new top 10 here today, and this one was actually requested, and I thought it would be a pretty fun video to do. So it's going to be my 10 favorite metal bands with one guitar player. Now, with this, it can get a little bit tricky. I'm not going to include hard rock. As I said, it's just metal, so bands like Van Halen, Triumph, and a lot of those other 70s hard rock bands, I love them, but not going to count them here. And a lot of these bands actually did have multiple guitar players at a point in time in their history, but I've always thought of them as primarily a one guitar band, and a lot of them have had multiple guitar players, but, you know, just one at a time. So starting things off, I have Immortal at number 10. Love them. Amazing black metal band. They started off with Demonaz as their guitar player. He is the main lyricist of the band. He was the lead guitar player for the first 4 albums from their debut in 1992, Diabolical Full Moon Mysticism, up through 1997's Blizzard Beasts. At that point, he had an issue with his hand. He couldn't play anymore, so he stepped aside from playing, but he did still write lyrics for all of their albums. And Sabbath, who is obviously the most well-known guy in the band, stepped in to play guitar. He did vocals, of course, as well. This is the first album he did guitar on, At the Heart of Winter in 1999. Then there was Damned in Black. Then Sons of Northern Darkness, which is actually my favorite album by them, one of my favorite black metal albums of all time. He's a great guitar player, and then eventually he got kicked out of the band or left. I don't know what exactly happened, but Demonaz was able to start playing again, so he played guitar on their most recent album. So they've gone back and forth, but always on the albums and live, just one guitar player. So really amazing stuff from them. I am a big fan. My number 9, I'm going to go with Dio, another band that has had multiple guitar players, but always just one at a time. Started off with Vivian Campbell, who played on my favorite album by them, Holy Diver. This is one of the greatest metal albums of all time. He shreds all over this. He was with Dio for their first 3 albums, so Last in Line and Sacred Heart, and then stepped in Craig Goldie for my second favorite Dio album, which is Dream Evil. Really love it. They had Rowan Robertson, great guitar player as well. Craig Goldie came back to the band. Doug Aldrich was in the band. So they've had multiple guitar players. Obviously, Ronnie James Dio is a great, great singer. One of my favorites ever. And just one of my favorite one guitar bands there at number 9. Number 8, I'm going to go with Dokken. This is a band. It can get a little bit tricky here because originally Don did play guitar. He played guitar on the first album, Breaking the Chains, but of course George Lynch was also there. And after that album, he doesn't play on any of the other albums. So got Under Lock and Key, big fan. Got Tooth and Nail up there on the wall. Back for the Attack, that is their, you know, just absolute amazing trio of albums there released in the mid-'80s. Great stuff. But they also had John Norum on guitar on an album, which I actually have this one right here, Long Way Home from 2002. Pretty good stuff. Of course, he's from the band Europe. He played on Don's solo album in 1990, Up From the Ashes. John Levin's been their guitar player for about 20 years now. Red Beach was their guitar player on this album here, Erase the Slate. So for the most part, always one guitar player. As I said, though, Don did play a little bit of guitar, but I've always thought of them as a one guitar band. Love them. My favorite 80s glam metal band, Dokken at number 8. Number 7, I'm going to go with Savatage. Once again, another one that could get a little bit tricky. Chris Oliva, obviously, amazing guitarist. He was on guitar from their debut, Sirens, in 1983, up through Edge of Thorns. And then after that, he tragically passed away. But that's 7 albums he does all the guitar on. Chris Caffrey did play live with them in some spots, you know, during that time period. And then, you know, after they've had a couple other guitar players in the band, of course, Al Pitrelli, Chris Caffrey does start playing on the albums after Chris passed away. But Al Pitrelli, Alex Skolnick was on an album, Handful of Rain, which was quite good. But the first run with Chris is what I'm talking about here. Amazing stuff. He is one of the best shredders of all time. Very clean. The tone is amazing. Just absolutely insane guitar player that was taken way too young. I think he was only 30 years old when he passed away. So he played on 7 amazing albums and then was tragically taken. So RIP to him. Amazing band at number 7, Savatage. Number 6, I'm going to go with Pantera. Had to break out the power metal shirt. Absolutely sick shirt, I think. This was the first one with Phil Anselmo on vocals. Came out in 1988. And this one's kind of mislabeled as a glam metal. Of course, Glam Terror is what people call them. I don't have any problem with glam metal, but really that's solely based on image with this album, because if you actually listen to it, it's pretty much classic speed metal, sounds pretty similar to some of the faster stuff from Judas Priest in the 80s, like Free Will Burning type of material. But Pantera is great. Love power metal. Cowboys from Hell is an amazing album. I've got Projects in the Jungle, which I actually really like the first 3 albums with Terry Glaze. I think they are overhated on, unfairly hated on. If you actually go through and listen to them, I mean, if you like, you know, Kiss, Dokken, Rat, I don't see why you wouldn't like those albums. Really good stuff. And of course, Dimebag, known as Diamond Daryl at the time, was absolutely shredding all over that stuff. So great band. At number 6, Pantera. Now, number 5, I'm going to go with Loudness. This was always, or recently, it's been very tough to differentiate this band and the next one I'm going to talk about, but I've been leaning towards the other band as like slightly better at this point for me. The Loudness, great Japanese metal band. Akira Takasaki, an absolute legend. He's there on the cover, or on the back cover right here. Thunder in the East, favorite album by him, of course, but Dissolution is great. The freaking album on the shirt here, Soldier of Fortune, which is when Mike Vescara came into the band. Minoru Nihara is their main vocalist, but they've had a couple other guys throughout the years. But always just Akira on guitar. He's a great player. The self-titled album from 1992 is amazing. The Everlasting, King of Pain, a couple more modern albums that I really dig from them as well. But as I said, a band that I slightly prefer over them at this point is going to be Anthem at number 5, or at number 4, I mean. So Loudness was number 5. Anthem is number 4. Love these guys. This is the only album I have from them at this point. Tightrope from 1986. So for the first handful of albums, they had a guy, I gotta make sure I pronounce his name close to correctly, Hiroya Fukuda. He was from the debut up through No Smoke Without Fire in 1990, and then after that they had Akio Shimizu, who is one of my favorite guitar players of all time, from Domestic Booty in 1992, and then they broke up for about 8 years, like right after that came out, and then since they got back together in 2000, Akio's been their guitar player. So just 2 guys that have split the work, you know, on the albums, but Akio is my favorite. A lot of the stuff since they've gotten back together is absolutely amazing. This guy is a criminally underrated guitar player. Just go through and listen to like Immortal, you know, Seven Hills is great. A lot of that stuff is really, really good. Black Empire, to name a few. Next up at number 3, I'm going to go with my favorite black metal band of all time. Messing up my camera. But number 3 is Inquisition. Love them. Dagon, the guitarist, does all the work. They only have 2 guys in the band, which is incredible to me. You know, how loud and powerful and amazing they are. But I got a couple of their albums on vinyl here. Invoking the Majestic Throne of Satan, which is actually my number 1 top favorite black metal album of all time. Really cool gatefold. There's the original cover right there. But super cool stuff. Embraced by the unholy powers of death and destruction. Possibly my favorite black metal song of all time. Kill with Hate is great. Looking at this stuff. Title track is awesome. For Lucifer My Blood is one that really showcases just how amazing his riffing and tone are. It's some of the best of all time. Got Ominous Doctrines right here from 2010. This one I've really, really been loving lately. Astral Path to Supreme Majesties. Command of the Dark Crown, one of my favorites by them as well. So really amazing stuff. Really dig all of their albums. Also have Bloodshed Across the Empyrean Altar, Beyond the Celestial Zenith right here. Their freaking album names and songs are a mouthful, sentence long, but really great stuff. Very raw, aggressive, muddy tone from Dagon, and just overall him and Incubus on the drums. Amazing duo. Now my top 2, this one could eventually change. Like the number 2 band I have here is, you know, a lot of these are in my top 10. This whole list is in my top 30 of all time. But right now my number 2 is going to be Motorhead. Huge fan. I thought I grabbed a couple. Yeah, here's a couple of their albums. Of course, Ace of Spades. And this is another one that could be a little bit tricky, but I think pretty much everybody considers them to be a 1-guitar band. For the first 6 albums, they had Fast Eddie Clarke. And then they got Brian Robertson for 1 album from Thin Lizzy, who's a great guitar player as well. But then they added Phil Campbell and Wurzel. They had 2 guitarists for about 10 years. And then for the last 20, 25 years of their existence, they only had Phil Campbell as the primary guitar player, who was fantastic. Got a couple albums with him. But big fan of Phil. big fan of Fast Eddie Clarke. I love Motorhead. They've got a huge discography, a lot of amazing stuff. Just love all of it for the most part. I'd say probably my favorite with Fast Eddie is Overkill, and then my favorite with Phil, just Phil, is Inferno. But a lot of great stuff there. And of course, you know, who could be number one? It's got to be Black Sabbath. Love him, Tony Iommi, an absolute god. You know, the founder of metal, in my opinion. Black Sabbath, first metal band. I got Tear. I have Heaven and Hell somewhere, which is my favorite album by them, but just grab Mob Rules. Love Headless Cross. Love a lot of the 70s stuff as well. The riffs are amazing. Love his tone. Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, Savatage. A couple of my favorites from the 70s. Paranoid, of course. But great, legendary band. Got to take the top spot for me as of now. But as I said, you know, Motorhead and Black Sabbath, I love them both. Just, I guess it kind of depends on the day who I would rank 1 and 2, but I think you gotta give the edge to Black Sabbath. And a couple honorable mentions real quick. Really love Chastain. David T. Chastain is an absolute beast on guitar, very underrated. Ozzy Osbourne's solo band was very close to making it as well, whether it's Randy Rhoads, Jake E. Lee, Zakk Wylde, Gus G, you know, all the guys he's had in the band are really great. What else I got? Grim Reaper, Alice in Chains, and yeah, that's all I wrote down. I have Yngwie Malmsteen written down. I didn't count him just because he's a solo guitarist, so it was could be a tricky situation there. But Yngwie, I guess we can throw in the honorable mentions. But yeah, let me know what y'all's favorite one guitar metal bands are. Let me know what you thought about my list. And as usual, thank y'all for watching. Till next time.